deeper connection with those around you. Join us on Uplift today. We've got special guest Linh.
Okay, go. Oh, this is good.
Joining us from Melbourne, Linh is going to be talking about some wonderful things about parenting as Neil works behind the scenes to get some stuff happening. We'd love to encourage you to join the conversation. So do a bit of writing, involve yourself. Maybe you've got a question for yourself or somebody else you know who's got a child. Join us soon on Uplift. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Uplift. Whether you are watching us live or in replay, know that myself and Neil appreciate you and we look forward to seeing you in the conversation. My name is Sarah Wade. I'm an agent of change, a lover of life, a creative and a single mum. And I'm looking forward to having a chat with you guys from Perth. Now, joining me from Calgary in Canada, we have Mr. Neil Thrussell. Welcome. Nice to see you.
It's wonderful to see you both. And it's just been... Today has been a day of perseverance and just allowing what happened to happen. All of us have had computer problems, and the show is Uplift, and that's all we could do is smile and work through it. As Sarah said, my name is Neil Thrussell, 4 times international best-selling author, life coach, and I too, like Sarah, am a lover of life, and I am so excited to have Linh on the show today.
Joining us from Melbourne in Australia, we've got Linh, who helps partner families together to create these beautiful, deep connections. And I love that, Linh. Welcome to Uplift.
Thank you for having me. And I love the name of the show, Uplift. It feels good just saying it.
Doesn't it? You can't say uplift without smiling too, I've noted. That's nice.
Uplift. No, you can't do it. You can't do
it. So we have got a couple of people joining us live, and whether you're watching this in replay, know that we appreciate you too. So, Linh, I'm curious, obviously you're here to talk about families, and for those who don't know you, do you have a family or are you just talking out of your ass?
I do have a family. So I have 2 children, 2 boys. One is 19, the other one is 15. And I live with my husband, and the 2 of them, and a dog. So that is my family. We've been married for 24 years now.
Wow.
And yeah.
Congratulations.
I just want to know the secret right off the bat. How have you managed to survive with 3 men in the house?
All the boys, just turn into one of them.
Yeah.
No. Learn to love them. I must say. Mm-hmm. They are great fun, actually, especially now with the fur baby. He's a German Shepherd. He's got so much energy. Yeah, that's great fun.
Nice. Anybody else joining us have got a fur baby? Drop some love into the screen. We would love to see whether you've got a fur baby or if you've got human babies. Let us know. You guys know I've got a 5-year-old. Lynn's got teens. Neil, on the other hand, has got an amazing array of beautiful friends and people that he mentors in one way or another. And I trust that, like him, whether if you don't have children, that you know others that do, and that this may just be a link to help you to create that beautiful connection that has been maybe misfiring or not quite there in the way that you would like. And on that, Linh, obviously that is what you do day to day. What is one thing that you've noticed that people often come with you for? Is there a missing something or what's going on for them?
Okay. So for a variety of things, but what I find that is common is the communication between people in the family. So there is that trust of love, in the family. We trust, we love each other, but how come? What is all this? Why do we feel so angry with one another? Or why do I feel so unappreciated by my wife? Usually that's from the men. So I'm very lucky to get to work with families. So men, it's often, how can I understand my wife? Because I guess they don't feel understood. And for the wives, how can I not get so angry with my husband and my children all the time? Yeah, so it's that communication, that flow of communication, so that we can communicate with one another in terms of how do we let each other know that we love them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how do we let one another know that we love them? Is there a code that is people have been missing, or what's the secret?
Isn't that? Yeah. Well, then it's always a big conversation around. We always think it's the surface. So they always come with, when my wife doesn't support me in doing this, and it's usually about that thing. They come to me with, can you help me how to? I can't. I don't want to go into into stories because my head's going into the stories, but it's more so people come and they think it's about the surface things, more like about, I don't put the dishes, or the dry dishes, and she puts the wet dishes on top, and I can't tell her to stop doing that, right? And I have to dry them on. I can't, it's not functional that way to me. So how do I not, so those little things, it seems to divide. It seems to divide. And so how do I communicate that without her getting upset about it, with her, or without feeling upset when I'm expressing it? So I think it's about understanding ourselves. At first it's always about the other, but it's never, ever, after we dig into the situation, it's never, ever about the other. So I would say, in short, the secret to communicating with one another is understanding ourselves.
Powerful.
Well, if you would just do it my way, it would all work out.
Right, Neil, if you would just do it my way, if the computer would just listen to me and work, and I don't have to go on my phone right now, would help, right? If life would just happen out.
Yeah, it's interesting you pick dishes. We have a dishwasher in our home, and the way I load it is not quite the appropriate, the official way that it should be done.
There is
like toilet paper facing down or up? Like, is that one of these kind of controversial moments? Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's little things, isn't it? Like, it's those little things that if you know that someone likes their toilet paper facing down, or that someone likes their dishes put a certain way, or dried or put away before you put wet ones down, it's those little things that do make you feel appreciated and heard. And from what I've witnessed, and Lynn, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that is part of the issue here, that not feeling heard. Would that be correct?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When it's the same thing said over and over and not seeing a change, then that's when we feel we're not heard, we're not understood. Or for men, it's I do so much, but she still complains. Now, it's never enough for her. So it's that feeling of being understood and appreciated. And I guess we're all searching for that. And in the family in particular, and if you have teens, teens put up so much fight, to us. It's like there's so much fight. But for them, all they want to say to us is they're doing their best to please us. In their way of fighting with us. It's them fighting with themselves in terms of how come I cannot please my parents? How come I cannot please my teachers or people around me, people that I value, I love? Because all we are looking for is that sense of love and belonging, accepted. Yeah, and yet we don't feel it. And it plays out in the little things around the house. Why can't you put your shoes in the right place? Or do your chores? And so for us moms who yell at our kids and then feel guilty at the end, it's because we haven't been heard. We don't feel like our children hear what we are saying. Put your shoes in the right place. But when they don't put their shoes in the right place, we're actually not well, and then we're upset. We're not upset with them not putting their shoes in the right place. But often, and I don't say, it's not for all, but often it's because we feel like we haven't taught them to have these good habits. Well, then now it must mean dig a few layers, and it'll come down to now we're not a good mother. No, we just want to be good enough, and we're not a good mother. And so we get upset. We're actually not upset with our kids. We're upset with ourselves. And therefore, it circles back to what I said before, about understanding ourselves. When we understand that, in this moment here, I don't feel like I'm a good mother because my son is not putting, his shoes in the right place. Well, then we can deal with that. Now we know how to get back to ourselves and say, okay, I don't feel. So it's more of a feeling. Then we can get back to ourselves. So back to our center. So it's not about the child and therefore get upset with them and, and say, you never do this. And then it never stops with the shoes. It then comes to, you never wash the dishes. Your room is so dirty. What about that? And it just spirals into so many things. And our kids are so confused. So what are you talking about now, Mum? See, I told you I can never please you. So the only thing they can do in that moment is to fight back with us. Because now what happens? They are in their own world thinking, I am not good enough. I'm not a good child. I'm not a good student. Now they're fighting with us.
Yeah.
But it's
and also as an observer, I've never had children, but as an outside observer, they're also the child is trying to find their own boundaries and their own sense of what is really important to them. Because some kids, it is not important that their shoes go back in the identical spot and they don't really care. But what they care about is, being with mom or dad or just going for a ride or doing something. That's what they care about. And I feel for parents as they struggle to try to find that balance of independence, because really, from the moment the child is born, you're birthing them for independence.
Oh my goodness, I love that, Neil. That is so true. Yeah, we seek to teach our children independence. We seek to teach them love and caring. Be kind, be caring, be respectful. But the thing is, we're born with that already. We don't need to be taught to work hard, to think, to love, to care. We are already, we have that independence is with us already. And so we learn along the way where we don't do the right thing, when we get reprimanded or when we, told we're wrong. Now we feel that we're disconnected with ourselves. So that's why we're upset, isn't it? Where we're like, oh, so who am I? I mean, if mom tells me that I am not respectful, for example, we get upset about that. Not so much we don't know how to be respectful, but it's more the depth of it is disconnecting with me because I know I am. But how come people are saying that I'm not? And now we're learning something else, aren't we? Now we're learning how to please others, approvals, because maybe then I'll feel good enough about myself. Maybe then I'll feel connected, because what you were saying before, Neil, that we are born with that. So what are we searching for? In this life is that sense of connection, isn't it? That sense of belonging, that sense of connecting to life, that our heart, our mind, and our body is connected to our environment, the tree, the birds, the clouds, mum, dad, friends, teachers. And so we need to connect so much. And when people say that we're not connecting, we will do our best. And that's when we start to learn to be away from ourselves, and learn to then please others, to have that false sense of connection.
I agree. Yeah, 100%. And I would add to that, it's not just the child that's learning, it's the parent too. You know, we're learning how to parent, they're learning how to human in multiple ways, and we're both building that connection. You know, and as we grow and develop as humans, whether we're a child or an adult, we're going to range in how we do things. And I think one thing I've noticed, and maybe you guys have noticed this too, if you guys have noticed this with you watching this live and replay, show us some love, let us know. That when the kid is trying to please their parent and the parent is nasty in their response, let's just say nasty, you know, that child still loves them.
Mm-hmm.
They lose that love of self.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious, like, if you've experienced this, or if anyone you know has experienced this, and how they got around that. Oh crap! I'm pushing my stuff on my kids. What's next?
Wow, that is I feel emotional, because when you ask that, that's been my journey. It hasn't been an easy journey, and I haven't learned to, you know, to parent before I became a parent. I fell into parenting, and that was the journey that led me into doing this work. Because, as you know, I was in teaching, so working with children, but not at this level, not at this depth, and it has been that. And we are born with love, right? We're born with love, and along the way, somehow we disconnect with that love that is self, and so that disconnection happened between myself and my children. And we love our children to death, and there's no question about that. But along the way, where we've learned, because just through my childhood, then yes, I've learned to disconnect with myself and learn to love in a way that is very externally dependent. So then, when that came about, and then the children came, it was the role I need to feel. So let's just cut all that into instead of like wrapping it with the role that I was in. And from living that role, along the way, the disconnection happened between my children and I. And it was, through achievements and working hard, because that was my upbringing. I truly believe hard work was the key. And so hard work was what we had, and was what we used in our parenting. And so we work hard, and we love each other, and we spend time together. So that's why we moved along, and we have something, but deep inside, I knew something was missing. So by the time that our children, my eldest, he got his scholarship, and my second one was going into having offers at the selective school offer, was when I realized, hang on, something is amiss here. Because that was when I started to feel, yes, we have all of this, but and times we spend time together, but it's just there's that, it's there, but it's not quite like this.
Something. I think a lot of people experience that too. Yeah, that's it's not quite right. It's not really wrong, but there's something not quite there, as you put it. Yeah. So what did you do next?
Yeah. So, well, that was when I you see it in the kids, and and that was your heart will call to you, but sometimes the busyness of life, you don't pay attention. But the signals around you, in my own children, spoke to me. And well, I stopped. When I realized that this is joy, when I started to ask questions, is this the right, is this life? And during that time, I felt really empty, because we work, and then we think, but I sort of left my heart behind. I didn't sort of bring my heart along on this vigorous journey of of doing. And so I stopped and I said to the kids, you continue to work, you continue to do this, but I need a moment for myself. I need to recalibrate, because something's not quite right. And that was when I went within. You learn, and that's why now my message is, understand yourself, because with the moment you understand yourself, you can then reach out in your family, you can then connect with your family. And the moment I changed, the moment I start my journey, things started to change. And they call me old mum to new mum. They still compare. Mum, remember when with the old mum, this would have happened. And with the new mum, we feel like this. So it, I guess to answer your question there, Sarah, is stop. Like wherever you go, like the journey, you put in your GPS. And I kept saying at the beginning of my journey, I kept saying, I wanted to go north, but I went south. So the moment that you're, say hiking, for example, and you're hiking and that you're on the wrong track, don't keep going. Stop and just
You're allowed to do that? What?
I'm slightly older than all of you, so my father comes from a generation where fathers don't say, I love you. And if I really want to make my dad uncomfortable, just as we're leaving, I'll go and say, I love you. And he's always stunned, because that word just is like, because where he learned it's only in him, in his back upbringing, is just for his romantic partner, which was my mom. And she's been gone 20 years now. So it's in his view, he doesn't have to say it anymore. But he speaks how he loves somebody is he won't remember birthdays, but he loves to cook. So when you show up, it's like your favorite, whatever it is, will be there. He will cook for you, and he will ask you to do things with him. He always wants a job list, but he will ask you to do things that he knows that you like to do. So love shows up and it's his version of saying, I love you and I want to do things with you. And this is the container that I can work in to show my love and affection. And this is it. This is all I got. So please accept it.
Yes.
We all have different ways of communicating that love, as I'm sure everybody knows. Neil's dad cooks, Lynn, what do you do to show your love to your family?
What do I do to show my love to my family nowadays?
Oh, I like that part. Nowadays.
Oh, yes, because I'm always changing. And aren't we all, right? We need to evolve. And I love your program, Sarah, that the word evolve. And that's what it is, get out of our children's way so that they can evolve. But of course, it's easier than said than done, because, we just got to be able to see our own sort of like our own way so that we can evolve as well, so to allow them to evolve. The question I'm still thinking about, how do I nowadays show my love is, I find I know what drives me to showing the love. Sometimes it's hard to know, and I can only know in that very moment. But I know that I make time to connect. That is so important for me when I feel like I'm a little bit disconnected. Like I can't focus on my work. Something's amiss. I know that my family is the place for me. So I always go back. And I don't know what it is that I do. We spend a lot of time cooking together, because now the boys are a bit older. And so we spend a lot of time having dinner together. That's the most important part of our day. I can see it's looking beautiful, and Evolve is the program. And I love your photo there too, picture there too, Sarah. It's very,
I hit the wrong button.
Ooh, just like, pushing buttons. No.
It happened. It's interesting because I think that connection is key. You know, you mentioned that it's been different throughout your life. You know, you guys know I've got a 5-year-old. You know, I stop my stuff and I look at her. I don't pick my phone up. I'm not, maybe she's interrupted me. I'm doing something on my phone because I work online, and I put it down and I pay attention to her and I'll look her in the eye and I will have that conversation because it's important to her. You know, she brings me these beautiful pictures that she's drawn. By the way, she wants to be a fashion designer, so I get a lot of dresses. And Mummy, I made this one for you. And to the point where this was so important to her that she showed one to her granny. She said, I love this dress. And the way Granny showed love to her was by making that dress. Like, she actually went and sourced material that looked like it. She had these beautiful little butterflies on the sleeve that she hand detailed. Maya runs around the house and around the world with this beautiful smile on, this amazing sense of confidence, because she was
I
heard.
love it. That's beautiful.
It is.
That's beautiful.
And I think we can do that in our own way. So whether you could play soccer, or if your father likes bowling, or however you connect with your family, do stuff they love. And they're probably going to want to do stuff that you love, and then you're both winning, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, spending time together, I think doing anything is beautiful. For me, I find, because the question, the thing about it now for me, and I kept saying, you know, now, is my focus isn't so much showing them love. I find it's more, how do I make them feel that they are important right now to me? And how do I make them feel comfortable about themselves, being who they are when they're around me? That's been my focus. That's why I thought about that. So it's not so much about love, but of course it's a feeling. When they get what they get from that is the feeling of love, and it could be love for self. Doesn't have to be love for me, but it's for love for self. And so I know when they come into the room and I'm working, then I would stop. You know, I'll make sure I'll stop to look at them, to engage. You know, to have the eye contact. Even for my 19-year-old. 15-year-old, my husband, even Dexter, my the dog, it's like when they come, all they're searching for is that connection. So I want to show them that I connect. And then on what level, it doesn't matter. It just happened in that moment. Whether, I can help them or I cannot help them, I just listen, or they might be asking about me. And if they don't ask about me, I'd say, sometimes I need some love. And they're boys, so sometimes they need to be reminded. So sometimes I just say to them, ask me a question about my day. Sometimes there's that silence or there's that time where I say, hey, ask me a question about my day. I'm interested in what you're interested about my day. Yeah. And
Sorry, go.
Sorry, did you say something?
I was going to say, one thing that I've loved from watching some Australian television, we watch ABC, which is Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and there is a show called Bluey, which is a lovely little cartoon about a dog family. And Lynn, I'm sure you're aware of it. The parents out there love it, and so do the kids. And one of the beautiful questions that they have in there demonstrating is at dinner time, the family of blue heelers asked each other what their favourite part of the day was. And now I love that when I go to the park with my 5-year-old, and I can hear kids of all ages, someone mentions Bluey, and then they're talking about their favourite part of the day, or you ask a kid, hey, what was your favourite part at school? I get asked this every time at dinner. Like, oh, it's so horrible being asked all about you and your favourite times of day when it's out of sync and it's not 3 hours later at the dinner table. I think it's a beautiful thing that we can all, doesn't matter who we are, who we share a family with, who we share a life with, we can ask a lovely question like, what was your favourite part of the day, to a stranger on the street as well. That connection is a beautiful gift.
Yeah,
I love what one of our viewers had put here. What they love, that they share homemade spearmint ice cream with dinner.
Beautiful.
I love it.
It's so small I cannot read it. So yeah.
My nieces and nephews love spearmint, so I make sure I've got spearmint ice cream when they come home for dinner.
Yeah. A lot of ways we show love is through food, as you know, especially if you're like grandma, grandpa. Yeah, showing that love through food. I do want to, sometimes it doesn't have to. It's just that looking them in the eye. It's acknowledging that they are feeling upset. It's about acknowledging that they are very happy. Those are like the ice cream for the souls, and they connect.
Ice cream for the soul. Did anyone else really feel that too, or was it just me? I think a new hashtag was just created: ice cream for the soul.
He's just acknowledging how happy they are. Sometimes we acknowledge our the heavy emotions, and that's very nice, and it's beautiful that we can do it for one another. But also the happy moments. Imagine when you're happy and you don't have anyone to share with. That's painful. Yeah. And so when the child is happy, jump up and down with them. Be happy with them. Don't sometimes it's like a child. I remember when I was little and I'm happy, and my auntie would sit there and just watch me, loving the way I'm being happy. Like, I really love that, and I carry that with me. That, and I feel like I'm giving her joy. That she's giving me in that moment. I don't know what it was, but it's that connection that I was giving her joy from me with me being joyful, and she sees my joy, and it feels great. Yeah.
I wonder if that's a bit of permission. If you see someone else having fun or being joyful or being happy or playing or whatever it is that brings a smile to your face, does that give you permission to also do that thing? I wonder if maybe you saw some runners or bicyclists around and you were sort of a bit tempted just purely because you saw them going past you.
And then, so is that like an inspiration for you to do the same? Giving yourself permission to then, hey, something I've always wanted to do?
Maybe. And maybe your aunt made you feel very safe, because we as adults, when we're interacting, or we as humans, when we interact with anybody, in order to make connection, we have to make the other person, and from my experience, feel safe, that they can be vulnerable, they can be open, and that if they're going to open their mouth to say something, they're not going to be instantly shot down, made fun of, and ridiculed. Otherwise, they're never going to speak. So in my experience, the less that I talk opens up for another person to speak. And I'm okay with awkward silences.
That's
what everyone
is.
And you with your little 5-year-old, Sarah, if you weren't giving her the opportunity if you did all of the talking non-stop, she would have no space to do it. But because you are who you are and you're curious, I see you as asking her questions and then going and let her speak and express however it needs to be.
One of my favorite ways to answer a question she asks is, I don't know, what do you think? Purely because I like to engage her in the conversation as well and not just give her the answers. But also it's really curious to see how people draw a conclusion and the conclusions that they do draw. And then we can play around with that conversation. You can do the same with an adult as well. You can do it at any age. And I'm wondering with teenagers then, how do you get a teenager to get curious about something? Do they have to push in the same way as you would as a small human? Or is there a bit of a difference there, Lynn?
Don't you love these questions? I love these questions. Okay, so what's for teenagers? They have plenty of experience in life, and even for little ones. And I think the best way to encourage them is that total acceptance. For your child, when you ask them, oh, well, I don't know, what do you think? It is very hard for them to say, well, Mum, this is what I think, if they don't feel that you're going to accept what they think. So, yeah, and so for your daughter to express that to you, Sarah, hats off to you for making her feel safe, which is what Neil was saying before, in that we need to feel safe to connect, and to be able to connect is to be our true self. To be our true self, then we can then have our own opinions. Yeah, we don't have our own opinions. We don't get curious is because we're afraid of judgments. So then for a teenager to be curious is for them to then accept themselves so that they can ask questions about the world and don't feel like, well, what's wrong? Am I crazy for thinking this? Or am I going to be judged? Are my friends going to, or is my mum going to, squint or be unaccepting? And they watch us like before you even know that you're feeling it, they already know it. They know that you're judging. It's energy, right? Yeah, so.
There's a question that's come through from someone on Facebook. A statement. A child can often take the time to process a question. Waiting allows them to freely speak without interruptions. Yes. And I think that's true of all ages, but especially as kids, when they're trying to formulate their questions, waiting for them. Like, I've had moments with my own, she's still thinking about her question as she's sort of half speaking and half saying it. And there are those long pregnant pauses. And that's okay. Diverting my attention at that point, I'm sure, would hurt her feeling. And it's not something that I would want to do, because it's okay to learn and to take your time to formulate your questions, or to just get that little bit more curious. Yeah. I wonder how we as a community, those physically on Uplift today, those watching us, how we as a population on Earth are going to get curious today, and how we can actually engage with others and hold space for them.
I have 11 nephews and nieces, and they're all adults now. But as through their growing phases, I was always the crazy uncle that would go and do things with them. But I was always the crazy uncle that they could come and have any conversation with me in confidence, as long as I said their parents are instantly going to know if at any time it included bodily or mental or physical abuse by something or someone else or there, so that it was they needed direct. But if it was they were confessing that they went out and drank on Thursday night, and it was the first time and they just needed to tell someone, my lips were sealed and I wasn't going to tell anybody. But if they said that this is the 9th time that they've been drinking, and well, then it's like, no, we need a different conversation. We need to see, is this a problem? And so I was always the crazy uncle that they would open up to. And once again, it was because I actively created, through coaching, knowing how to coach people, created a safe space. And they felt like some of the things I learned about some of my nephews, no uncle should know, but it gave them a safe place to know. And as we evolve as humans, as Lynn had said many times in her conversation, we're looking for connection. We're just looking for acceptance of who we are. Pimples, warts, and bad hair day, whatever. We just want to be accepted. And it's funny, our greatest desire is to be seen and accepted as who we are. And our greatest fear is somebody will see who we are.
We do everything to protect that. And I guess that's that comes down to the shame around things, isn't it? That we have, that's what we're protecting. As in, that's not, I guess, not protecting, but that's what we're not allowing ourselves to be seen, because we're afraid of judgment and shaming around certain areas. Yeah, I want to address that waiting, if I can. The comment before, is sometimes what I've observed is parents say, yeah, I wait. Lynn, you know what? I wait. That there's a difference in the waiting. When you wait and you're really curious and holding that space for your child to show you who they are as them, yeah, is different to you holding that space as a technique. Because if it is a technique, you can go into judgment. You're waiting, but you already have a judgment, or you already predicted what they're going to say, and you're ready, waiting for your chance to say what you had to say. Then you are not present with them. And often we lose that connection. Our children will shut away because they can't fight with us. I mean, in the end, we are the provider. So they will shut away, or they will just agree with us. So either way, they will never get to be who they are. So just that waiting, if we can just wait for our child to show who they are, and whoever they are, they may say the weirdest, the most disagreeable thing you can think of, is still them. So we want them to, like you said before, Neil, safe, but it's not safe about secrets that you're going to keep, but it's safe to be who they are. It is so important, because the reason why they're sharing with you is they know that you're not going to judge them. Yeah. Not just because you're going to hold the secret. I wouldn't share my secret to anyone, or the person who's going to judge me, but I know he's good with his lips. Yeah, he's going to zip. I wouldn't share. I share because I believe that person doesn't judge me and will allow me to be me. Yeah, and so for our kids to share with us, because we want to know their world, so that we can be that guide with them, so that they will share with us their difficulties, their challenges, so that we, the adult, hopefully we've learned how to deal with those shame. Hopefully we've dealt with heartbreaks, or my dress is torn, or my friends talking about me and they don't play with me in the playground. We've dealt with those, and so we can show them how to deal with it. Not to take it away from them, because that would be taking their life away from them. But we want to be able to be there for them so that we can guide them. And that is only through them sharing and connecting with us, so we can feel their pain or feel their joy, whatever it is, that we can be that co-traveler, to travel with them, to enjoy this journey with them. As a family, as a mother and child, or father and child.
Oh,
absolutely.
I think we as humans, we get a bit of significance, uncertainty, and love in its many ways, shapes, and forms from different ways. People, some can be healthy, and some can be rather dysfunctional. I learned a lot of dysfunctional ways to get the attention of my parents. And that carries through into my adult life. Anyone else? Like, I'm not alone, surely. Like, I made a conscious decision to start to see what I could do differently. And I've noticed that, I'm breaking generational chains by the way that I'm parenting these days. And the way I'm demonstrating how I go about things is what she sees as normal. So why not demonstrate the healthier way? And when I do find myself going down a path of, this is about me right now and not her, then I demonstrate that it's okay to walk away from a conversation. Not like just walk off on her, because that wouldn't be healthy. But now she has that opportunity to do the same. And she often says, Mum, I'm just going to go and sit down and do a bit of a picture, because I need to just, often she uses her hands, and it's just with a sigh. If your kids can't communicate, or like with words, or pick up on their body cues, pick up on the body cues of your teenager as well, or any adult. But having that time to really process your thoughts in a way that's healthy for both of you can mean the difference between a beautiful connecting relationship and I hate you and storming off, and that's not fun for anybody. So take that time to really slow down if need be. Even if you only just slow your words, I've noticed when I slow my words and I take my breath in and she will copy. And that helps both of us to regulate ourselves in that moment of need. And I think it's crucial that we do those sorts of things. Neil, have you got any tips that you would like to share about how you go through that demonstration of something in your life?
Some of the times it's just to find a quiet place. Like there, when life is throwing you lemons and everything is coming at me and 100 people want my attention, parts of me just want to throw my hands up and start, slapping people silly and, smarten up in that. But the part of me that knows what to do and the right thing to do is just to take a deep breath and calmly just say, okay, what needs to be done? What can I do? And just always come from that place of centeredness and respond rather than go to a reaction. And I'm going to sneak this back to Sarah, because it's all about evolution. It's all about how we evolve, because we start at one place and our life takes us on a journey. And I'm going to give Sarah an opportunity to share a journey and evolve. And what is evolve, Sarah?
Evolve is an amazing opportunity to get your stuff out. As we've been sharing in the conversation on Uplift today, sometimes we're not heard. And sometimes we don't even know the words that we want to say to be heard, because as Lynn mentioned before, it's not the stuff like the dishes or the toilet paper facing the wrong way. It's actually the deeper stuff. So Evolve is a beautiful way to get your stuff out through this lovely golden thread via your hands through some creative expressionism. It is my 9-week program, which is my low-end program, and it has seen people really have the deep connections with themselves, as Lynn was mentioning before. That's really what's so important. So when we have that important relationship and love of ourselves and appreciate us, I think that opens the relationships to others. So Evolve is about evolving your relationship, not only with yourself, but others in a nutshell. And it's a beautiful way to do with a lot of movement and a lot of stuff without these things coming out of my mouth right now, because we express ourselves in more ways than words. Unless, of course, you're an author, in which case you may like to express yourself with words like Neil does. Mr. 4 times best-selling author has got a few things going on at the moment right now too. Neil, would you like to share?
Thank you, Sarah. I got to put me back on here. Okay, this is all good. We all have a story, and I'm currently working as an author, and I write spiritual fiction. And spiritual fiction to me is sharing your view of the world and your experience of how you came to experience a new way of looking at the world and a new way of experiencing the world. It's like spiritual fiction can be the aha of uncovering why the toilet paper roll needs to go over top or underneath for you. And it's that evolution. It's that conflict of how you got to this toilet paper mattering so much in your life. You were willing to argue with friends and family and set an opinion and have the right way to do it, but yet the evolution comes from the aha of what did it mean to you. And spiritual fiction is learning to write the lessons of what it means and carrying the story and making a story, as in fiction, interesting so that the readers will actually continue to follow. And I am teaching people to write spiritual fiction, and I am sharing with people how to self-publish, because people have this big black box thought of self-publishing and publishing as a whole. And it can be daunting, but it's really not that scary. And my goal is to help people undress it, the publishing, and so that they can get it done and they can write their book and use their creativeness. It's all about finding a creative way for you to express. Sarah expresses through art. I'm expressing through through words. Lynn is expressing hers through connection of family, the importance of the family unit. And she's probably using lots of tools, but it is the connection of the family, the creativity. If a family was just stale and did the same thing, it's Thursday night, we're going to have fish and chips and we're going to do the same thing, there's eventually going to be a bond. There's going to be some discussion.
One of my exes was a triplet and from an Italian family, and they used to have Tuesday night pasta night. And every night, whether they lived at home or not, they had pasta and had for their 30-odd years of life when I knew them. And they actually got together annually with kilos and kilos and kilos and kilos of tomatoes, made the sauce together. And it was this beautiful connection. And people, whether they were married or had been just about at work, and they came back together, and it was this beautiful sharing of their life, their day. And there was so much joy and happiness. And I really look back on those moments and think, what a lovely thing to do, to have that bond. Tuesday nights, what's happening? The rest of the week, there was lovely bond too, but Tuesdays were just, Speaking of moments, Lydia has said that she envies you, the way you elaborate on the related topic. You have a deep understanding about it. And I know Lydia is a social worker, I think, Lydia. So that's high praise, and appreciate you, Lydia, for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I talk about? Can I express my opinions about what Neil was saying before? Is in terms of what Neil's doing in terms of stories, yeah, stories, written stories or telling stories. And Sarah, you're sharing about your friends, how that Tuesday night, pasta night. It's about that doing together. But from the doing together, what are we doing? We're sharing stories. We're sharing stories. We are connecting through stories. It's through words, but it's through stories. So, that mode of, your mode of art is telling, is expressing, isn't it? It's expressing through art. Yeah. And then Neil is through words, through written words. And that interaction, that family getting together, talking, even fighting, I dare say, is telling stories, is expressing, we are always expressing our stories. And it's that. And if we have an art to express our story, which is Neil, your work is so fundamental, because you're helping people to understand, because you cannot express it fully, concisely, if we don't understand it concisely, right? And that whole journey of writing is a reflection. So I'm writing my own, chapter for a book, and the process is so healing. It's healing. Why? Because we have to get inside, understand ourselves, know the stories we're telling ourselves, how it works out, how it doesn't, the reflection, aligning our heart, our body and soul, together to then formulate this written piece that articulate how we are feeling inside. It's just so wonderful. And so, Neil, amazing work. And I'll have to get in contact with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you. And for those, I forgot to do this earlier. So if you want to get a hold of Lynn, this is an ugly Google link, but just go and look under Lynn Lee, Linhle, and you will see this beautiful smiley face in her profile picture, and friend her and see what she's up to and see what she's offering. I cannot encourage you and recommend highly enough to connect with this beautiful soul.
Wonderful human. Absolutely wonderful human. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Yep.
Sarah and Neil.
Yeah.
Can you
And
believe
the
it?
sad, yeah. And the sad part is we've got so little time left. So I'm just going to take an opportunity to share with our listeners and our viewers that, because we talked about family, and it doesn't matter whether it's if you disjointed from your birth family and you have family by choice, whatever you call your family, however they show up, please take the time, connect, or even take a risk and reconnect with if it feels right for you. Reach out and make a call and reconnect with a family that you may not have talked to in the last little while, and you're doing that should thing. So reach out, take a chance, and express your love and gratitude to your family just to say hello, and know that you are loved and appreciated. What would you like to share with our viewers and listeners, Lynn?
Well, my message is secure that family, secure your family bond, because everyone deserves a family. Our family is the first place to connect. And so if your children, or you feel that there is that lack of connection, you know that your children will come back to the family because it's the first place to connect. So if you feel afraid, or there are stories that you're telling yourself that you don't want to reach out, or it's already too late, it's never, ever too late. Reach out and they will come back, because family is the first place for connection. And humans, we love familiar, we love to connect with things that are familiar. And so family is there, and it's the ground for us. Don't go out there, and if you feel like you're disconnected with your family as well, come back to your family. Come back to your family. They are ready for you, because we're just waiting to reconnect. That's my message.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I would agree with both of you, and add to that really evolve to suit your desires and those of your family. Have those moments of connection and ask that question, what is your favorite part of the day? Regularly. Really get to know others. Go out there, design the life you desire, because you deserve it, and so does your family. Until next time we speak, I trust that you, like us, will go out and have uplifting conversations. You won't be setting anything on fire. That'd be weird unless you're lighting a candle. Go ahead and do that. Enjoy those self-care moments. And until next time we see each other, take care.